You go to work, you pay the bills, and at the end of the month, you have nothing left that truly belongs to you. Every 2 weeks, the paycheck lands in your account and disappears almost immediately. Rent, groceries, car payment, gas, childcare on the days your shift runs late. By the time you've covered everyone and everything, you realize something you don't want to say out loud. Somewhere between all of those payments, you disappeared too. You hold everything together. You show up every single time. And yet, around day 10, that quiet fear starts whispering. What if the car breaks down? What if one of the kids gets sick again? What if I never get ahead of this? That's when the most expensive loss begins. Not your house, not your savings, not your job. I've been working my whole life, and I have nothing that's really mine. If that sentence sat in your chest even for a second, this story is for you. This is Lina, 38, night shift nurse, 2 kids, multiple debts. She was the safety net for everyone around her, until one night at 3 a.m., a 70-year-old patient named Lina showed her a worn little notebook that didn't fix her debt, but broke the story she'd been telling herself for a decade. This isn't a finance tutorial. This is about the first time in her life Lina stopped living as an emergency fund for everyone else and started keeping something, however small, for the woman she was still becoming. Lina was 38, a night shift nurse at a hospital in the Midwest. On paper, she looked like she had everything sorted. A husband who loved her. 2 kids, one in elementary school, one still in preschool. A small apartment that was always a little messy, but somehow warm. She was the kind of person everyone called when something went wrong. If a neighbor's kid got sick, they texted Lina first. If a friend's car broke down, Lina showed up to drive them. If her parents needed help with their bills, Lina quietly sent money. She was the safety net for half the people in her life. But when it came to her own life, there was no net. Every 2 weeks, her paycheck landed in the account and immediately dissolved. Rent, groceries, car payment, gas, childcare on the days her shifts ran late. Then the debts, student loans from nursing school, a credit card that had ballooned after her youngest ended up in the ER with a high fever, and they didn't have savings. A leftover balance from a minor surgery her insurance hadn't fully covered. The numbers changed a little each month. The feeling didn't. By day 7, the account was back to almost zero. By day 10, the anxiety started again. What if the car breaks down? What if one of the kids gets sick again? What if my hours get cut? Sometimes, on her break at 3 a.m., Lina would sit in the dim staff room, scrolling through her banking app, staring at the same small numbers and the same long list of people she owed. She wasn't irresponsible. She wasn't out buying luxury bags or new phones. She was just tired. Tired from 12-hour shifts. Tired from homework and laundry and packed lunches. Tired from the feeling that no matter how many shifts she picked up, she was always one emergency away from everything falling apart. If you had asked her what she was building for herself, she would have laughed. Me? I'm just trying to keep us from drowning. One night, Lina was assigned to a new patient, a small woman in her 70s named Lina. Lina was in for observation after a mild heart scare. Nothing dramatic, but enough that the doctors wanted to keep her overnight. She had kind eyes, a sharp sense of humor, and a little worn notebook that never left her bedside table. Around 2 a.m., after Lina had woken from a short nap, she noticed Lina sitting very still by the window. Not charting, not moving, just staring at the floor. Lina didn't realize how long she'd been sitting like that until Luna's voice broke the quiet. Long night? Lina looked up. She glanced at the clock, then at her own hands, then back at the floor. Long life. She she said it, and immediately wished she hadn't. Luna didn't laugh it off. She didn't offer advice. She just said quietly, "Sit for a minute. I won't tell." The monitors hummed. Down the hall, someone coughed. Lina sat at the edge of the chair, and without really planning to, she started talking. About the loans that never seemed to shrink. About the credit card that had become there in case of emergency card. Until every month was an emergency. About how she loved her family, would die for them, but still felt guilty every time she checked her account and saw nothing. Luna listened, hands folded over the notebook, not fixing, not advising, just listening, the way people rarely do anymore. When Lina finished, Luna was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You sound exactly like I did at your age." Lina looked at her, surprised. "You had all this too? The debt, the kids, the fear?" Luna nodded. 3 kids, 1 unreliable husband, 2 jobs for a while, and money that disappeared faster than I could earn it. "So what changed?" Lina asked. Luna opened the notebook. The pages were filled with small, neat handwriting. On each line, a date, a dollar amount, and a short note. $50. Overtime shift. 20. Skipped takeout this week. 10. Sold old stroller. Lina turned the pages slowly. Then she stopped. March. $18. Sold the kid's old stroller. She stared at that line for a moment. She thought about the stroller still sitting in her own storage unit. The one she kept telling herself she'd sell when she had time. She looked up at Luna. "This," Luna said, "is my 1% book." Luna explained. Years ago, a coworker had told her something that sounded ridiculous at the time. Whatever you make, give at least 1% to your future self. Off the top, before anyone else gets a say. Not 10%, not 20, just 1. So if I made $2,000 in a month, I forced myself to send $20 to a little savings account with no debit card. Even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. At first, it felt stupid. $20 when I owed thousands? Like trying to stop a flood with a teacup. She paused. But no one ever handed me a bucket. No one ever came and said, "Luna, let me fix this for you." So I used the teacup. Because a teacup is still better than watching everything drown and doing nothing. Lina didn't speak. The room was very quiet. Only the soft hum of the monitor. Only the distant sound of the hallway. And Lina sat with that sentence. Let it settle somewhere inside her she hadn't opened in a long time. You can have 99% of me, but this 1% is non-negotiable. She felt her throat tighten. Not from sadness, from recognition. For years, she had given 100% to everyone else's crisis. Her patients, her kids, her parents, her job. And when the month ended, she felt exactly like her bank account. Emptied out. She had never once set aside even 1% for the woman she would be in 10 years. Or even in 1 year. $20 doesn't fix my debt, Lina said quietly. No, Luna agreed. It doesn't. But it does something else. It breaks the story that you are only allowed to survive the month, never to build a life. The next paycheck, Lina tried it. Her take-home was a little over $3,000. 1%, $30. She stared at the number on the screen. $30 felt almost insulting compared to the balances she owed. But Luna's words wouldn't leave her alone. No one is coming with a bucket. Use the teacup. She opened the transfer screen, typed in the amount, $30. Then her fingers slowed. The cursor blinked in the note field. She sat there for a moment, longer than it should have taken, because she understood now what she was really doing. This wasn't about $30. This was about admitting that something, even something this small, was within her control. and she had been pretending otherwise for a very long time. She typed slowly, "For future Lina." Then she pressed send. The number moved. She stared at the screen. The main account, $30 less. The new little account, the one with no card attached, the one with the boring name, $30 more. Nothing outside changed. The kids still needed snacks for school. The car still made that weird sound when it turned left. The debts still sat there, waiting. But for the first time in years, she didn't feel like she had lost something. She felt like she had finally sent a message to someone who had been waiting a long time to hear from her. She didn't suddenly become a different person. She still bought coffee on the way to work sometimes. She still ordered takeout on nights when she was too exhausted to cook. But each month, she moved at least 1% before the world could claim it. Some months, it was only that. Some months, when overtime came through or a small tax refund appeared, she added a little more. After a year and a half, she checked that little account. It wasn't huge. It wasn't quit your job money. It was about $1,600. Not life-changing on a spreadsheet. But that wasn't the real point. The real point was that for the first time in her life, she had a line on paper that didn't belong to Visa, to the hospital, to her landlord, to the car dealership, or to the pediatric ER. It belonged to her, to the woman who had walked through a decade of night shifts, sleepless nights with babies, missed holidays, and quiet panic attacks in empty hallways. It was proof that she was more than an emergency fund for everyone else. Lina didn't become rich. She didn't suddenly pay off all her debt. She still had stressful months. She still lay awake some nights doing math in her head. But something fundamental had changed. Every time she transferred that little 1%, she was sending herself a message louder than any bank notification. You matter too. Not just as a nurse. Not just as a mother or a daughter. As a person who is allowed to have a future. Maybe you're a little like Lina. Maybe you've spent years being the responsible one. The reliable one. The one who holds everything together. And quietly accepted that there will never be anything left over for you. Maybe you keep telling yourself you'll start when things calm down, when the debt is gone, when you make more. And every year looks suspiciously like the last. This isn't a story about getting rich. It's a story about refusing to give 100% of your life to everyone else's emergencies and leaving 0 for the person who has to live with the consequences of your choices. You don't need a bucket. You never did. If this story hits somewhere real, just drop one word in the comments below. Teacup. That's it. No explanation needed. No pressure to share your whole story. Just let your future self know you saw this today. And something in you decided to pay attention. Because that future version of you is already waiting. And all she needs from you right now is one quiet decision that says, I see you. I'm thinking of you. And from now on, you get something too.